Hello my friends. Sorry that the sun is behind me here, but this was the first quiet street that I could pull the camera out and talk for a little bit. So it is what it is. When you're out here walking your dogs, making a video, you can't always make sure all the conditions are just perfect, right? Today I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of two parts. Why I don't make videos about obedience training or how to solve behavioral issues, right? If you go back through all my videos, rarely do I really ever talk about any of that stuff. I give general advice, or I give my commentary on things that are happening in the dog world, but I don't put I don't give you hey, here's how you work through leash reactivity with your dog, here's how you manage aggression, here's how you teach the place command. I don't do that stuff in a video. I mean, for one main reason. The main reason is that's all I have to sell, right? I mean, my business is a service-based, knowledge-sharing business. I'm giving you my experience after working with thousands of dogs and trying dozens and dozens of different training techniques. And my job is to see what works best for you and your dog, and make modifications as we go through the training, adjust techniques, etc. The other thing is, I've said this in other videos, I think it's rather irresponsible, to be quite honest, to post a video on how to deal with dog aggression. Every dog is different, every case is a little bit different. Every time I work with a new dog, I'm modifying what I do, I'm learning myself, I'm trying to improve my skill set, I'm trying to become a better dog trainer. And to just post a video about this is how you handle aggression, or this is how you teach place, that's ridiculous. Maybe that technique works for this dog, maybe it doesn't. Where's the adjustment? Where's the feedback? The problem with a video is it's like television, right? It's not a two-way street, right? There's not information, feedback, questions, change of information, right? None of that's happening. All right, had to cut the video there because I had to cross a busy street and the traffic was too loud, and I wanted to focus on making sure that the dogs and I got across the street safely. The main point I was trying to make there is that dog training has to be a two-way conversation, right? When I'm training, let's say I'm training an obedience technique. Let's say I'm teaching down, okay? I'm going to start with a certain technique that probably works on 70% of dogs, right? That just makes sense. Let's start with the most common technique that has the highest rate of success. If that doesn't work, I've got about a dozen different modifications, different techniques that we can work through so that we get the best result possible. If I just put a video saying, here's how you teach the down, step A, B, C, D, and then your dog doesn't follow that technique, the dog doesn't go for it, maybe the dog's not food motivated, doesn't want to follow a treat or whatever it is, right? Then you're going to think you did something wrong, and that is very common, by the way. I get obviously, first of all, I'm pretty sure we can all agree that by the time someone calls me in as a dog trainer, they've done a bunch of research. That is one of both the pros and the cons of the era that we're living in with things like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, social media. There is a wealth of knowledge because of the internet at our fingertips, but that doesn't mean that all that knowledge is good. Just because someone says they're a dog trainer and puts a video up doesn't mean that, first of all, they have any experience. It doesn't mean they're any good at their job, because in dog training, just like every other job in this world, there are people that are really good at their job and strive to be better continuously. And there are also people that are really terrible at their job. And who are you gonna get, right? And I would say this, if people are putting a lot of production value into a video on YouTube, okay? And you can tell they've got their logo, they've got all sorts of graphics, and it looks really clean and professional. I would say this, why are they spending all that time making that video? Why are they putting all that production value in? Where's the time to be training dogs? Because they're not. A lot of these people are making their money off social media. They're just producing videos. They get a lot of views, a lot of clicks, and they make money that way. And there are absolutely trainers that just do videos. That's all they do. They don't actually train dogs. Like, the amount of dogs they train in a year is probably close to the amount of dogs I train in like a week, maybe a month. I train, keep in mind, I'm a single private trainer here in Hamilton, Ontario, and I work with around 225 to 250 clients a year. Just me, one person. That is a ton, man. That's a ton, right? I'm training around 250 dogs a year, and I've been doing this for 8 years. When I worked at the dog school, I was working with hundreds of dogs a week. In total, I've trained easily thousands of dogs and worked with lots of owners. So I've got a big depth and breadth of experience to pull from. A lot of different techniques, a lot of different dog personalities, breeds, temperaments that I've worked with. So I'm experienced. And if something's not going the way we want in training, that's my job, is to make an adjustment to the training. But that's a two-way conversation. I have to say, let's try this. And then you show me how it's working with your dog. We try something different. We modify things until we get it right for your dog, right? And you can't do that through a video. So I would be very leery or just skeptical. Let's say that. Let's just be skeptical of the information you're going to get online. And yes, I'm making a YouTube video. I do one of these a month. I do this to keep somewhat of a social media presence up. I want potential clients to be able to click over to my YouTube link and see that I'm still active, like I'm still doing something. I'm not, you know, it doesn't look like I've retired. But if you go through my social media, you'll see that I just use Instagram and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. I don't post anything to it. I'm not interested, really. And my Instagram, I really just post some pictures of my dogs doing stuff, like hanging out with my dogs, and I post grad photos of clients that have graduated from courses with me. I really don't like social media. I've said that before in videos. I don't like it for my personal life. I don't really use social media. It's too much of a distraction. And that also comes back to my previous point. I work 50 to 60 hours a week as a dog trainer. Do you think I have time to be making highly produced videos? Why do you think I'm out here walking with this 360 camera in my hand through my neighborhood? Because it's the most efficient way for me to get a video out in a timely fashion. And I'm really just multitasking. I'm out walking my dogs, and this doesn't take extra time out of my day. And that's how I accomplish getting a video posted. I've got to do it this way because I don't really have the time to produce it any other way. And the last point I want to make here, this is a personal point. This is a personal grievance I have. Everybody is going to check YouTube or Google or something before they call a trainer. They're going to see if they can get some free information. I don't blame everybody. I do it too when I'm looking for information on something. I'm a musician. That's my hobby. Outside of dog training, one of my biggest passions, two passions, skateboarding and music. I'm a musician. I make everything from rock music and pop music to electronic music. I make everything. And a lot of what I learned, I found on YouTube. I would watch YouTube videos. And also, I got led astray a lot by these YouTube videos. And people, this is happening to a lot of my clients. And the grievance I have is I often show up, and now I'm trying to train my client, and they've either done a bunch of stuff that is not the way I want to train. So now I'm trying to undo stuff because, and I give my clients the reasons. This is why I don't like that. Well, this YouTube trainer said to do this. I know, and this is why I don't like that, okay? This is like, it doesn't work like that, or I've, you know, through my experience, I've found this technique or this tool shouldn't be used like this. So first problem I have is I'm often fighting against information that's been brought in from outside sources. And now I literally, little anecdote here, I literally had a client last year, and they had studied this certain YouTube trainer, and every week I'd come back and we're teaching. It was just an obedience course, and I'm doing this, and they would say, well, the trainer on YouTube said not to do that, or the trainer on YouTube said this is a better way. And on our third session, I looked at this person and I said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you all your money back, and I'm going to leave now. And he was kind of offended. He was like, why are you talking to me like this? Like, what is the matter? And I wasn't angry. I didn't like yell at him or anything. I just said, look, very bluntly. And I said, I can't operate like this. I said, clearly, if you're such a fan of this YouTube trainer and you love everything he does, then just do what he said. Why did you call me in? Like, why are you calling me in? You want to pay me to give you information and to teach you techniques in person. But every time I teach you something, you tell me about some YouTube trainer that you watch that does it differently. And now I'm left just feeling frustrated. And why? Why would I go through that, man? There's lots of clients that are looking for my assistance. Good job, guys. And I don't need to deal with that. Like, if you called me in, why aren't you listening to me? And if you want to listen to some other trainer, then just listen to another trainer. You don't need me, right? Just recently I started with a client for e-collar training. And I was asking her how she used the e-collar, and she's using it in a bunch of different ways. Like, to me, it seems like she's blended advice from multiple trainers. She's using different features in different areas. Like, she's being inconsistent with the use of the e-collar, because she's like, well, I thought in this type of training setting I should use it like this, and then maybe I do it differently here. She's using different functions on the e-collar for the same thing. And now, you know, this is not a critique to her. She didn't know, right? Like, she's doing her best. She bought this e-collar, watched some videos, and tried to learn on her own, and that's fine. I'm not knocking this client for trying to do that, but the training was unsuccessful. That's why she called me in. It hasn't worked because she doesn't really understand how to use an e-collar. She's piecemealed advice together from a bunch of different trainers, and now she's blending techniques and concepts, and it's not working. When now that I've come in, you know, she's agreed, let's just drop the way I was doing things, show me how you do it, and she's going to follow my guidelines, which is great, and I'll give her good success. But that personal grievance that I come in, and now I'm often fighting upstream like a salmon trying to spawn against information that's been obtained, you know, through the internet. Some good, maybe some bad, but the problem is they just watched a video on how to use the e-collar or any tool, and then there's no feedback. They go out and try and replicate this. And many of my clients say, well, I know it was me. I did something wrong, obviously, because the trainer said this would work on YouTube and it didn't work. So obviously I did something wrong. And the reality is often, no, you didn't do anything wrong. The only thing that happened here is you got bad advice. You got crappy advice from a YouTube trainer. So it's frustrating for me, right? But I get it. I do it myself when I'm trying to learn something, so I totally understand. But I would also say I probably wasted a year of my life in total in music making and my passion, because I was getting so much contradictory and poor information. And I could have saved myself a lot of time if I went to like one source, a trusted source that steered me in the right direction, which is eventually what I found. I have a buddy now that is actually a retired audio engineer producing albums for bands throughout his life, and he's really helped to set me straight. And I wasted all that time. So there's certain instances where I think you just need to reach out to someone in person and get direct contact so you can have a conversation. But it is the era that we live in right now. Everything is at our fingertips with social media, and we can get all this information for free, but the problem is not all that information is that great. That's the long and the short of why I don't put things like that up. I give you general information that really doesn't require a two-way conversation, like what I'm doing today, just explaining my views on YouTube training videos and things like that. And I try and just give you general guidance, because if you want specific knowledge, it's got to be a two-way street. You've got to work with a trainer in person so they can assess how the training's coming along and make meaningful and appropriate changes. So on that note, if you need a trainer, or you're struggling, or maybe you've gotten some advice from YouTube and it doesn't seem to be working, you can always reach out to a trainer like me and have somebody come to your home in person and give you the direct hands-on guidance that you need. Well, hopefully you found this video a little bit helpful. If anything, hopefully it's just made you think about how you're going to take in information on dog training. Other than that, hope you get out, have a good time with your dogs, enjoy a walk on a nice spring day like this, and I'll see you next month in the next video.